Hey, it's Nick here from Greyscalegorilla and Kitbash 3D. Welcome to a Q&A, AMA, not quite sure what we're going to call it, but I'm answering 5 common questions that we get all the time. Before we get started, I'm also going to ask you to put your question down below so that we can answer them in a future episode. Question number 1 is, what can I do as an artist to stay relevant as the industry shifts? Nice, easy one here to get started with. There's a lot happening in the 3D industry, but to be truthful, there's always a lot happening in this industry. This is an industry at the forefront of technology and is always moving forward, is always changing. We've gone through so many of these already, whether it's third-party rendering, new tools showing up on the scene. And of course, now today with all this AI talk, what can you do as an artist to really stay relevant no matter what happens in the future? So I think it boils down to a couple things. So one is to focus on the things that don't change. So those are things like design, typography, creative direction, learning how to tell a story, learning how to build a team, how to work with a team, how to lead a team, creative communication, being able to talk to other artists about a vision or the client's vision to steer people in the right direction. Those bigger things that don't change no matter what happens to the software will always be relevant. No matter where we end up, there's always going to be a creative human that decides if it's done, if this is what the client wants, if this is what you want as an artist. So having good taste, being able to create your vision in a beautiful rectangle, or I used to say beautiful rectangle, but it could be in a VR space at this point. So I got to stop saying that, is always going to be relevant. So focus on those things that don't change and try not to get too worried about specific tools on how you do your final work. Question number 2 is, are you still using your PC? Yes, you may have seen some videos from a while back where I finally got a Windows machine when third-party rendering was really taken off and using Redshift. It has been such a game changer. I still use my Puget machine quite a lot. However, I've been messing around with different ways to use it. So let me run you through this. As of today, I'm sitting next to a Mac Studio and I do all my look dev. I do all my email and all my, kind of workity work on this Mac. And there are quite a few times I kind of go to my PC to use it. So one is when I'm using Unreal. Unreal works on a Mac. It's really not too bad, but there's just some features and settings that work way better on a Windows machine. So I use Parsec, which is a piece of software that lets me kind of tunnel into my PC, use my little setup here with my Mac in my quiet room, and then still utilize the PC that's over in a closet where it can be loud and it can make a bunch of heat. So that's my main way of using it day to day if I'm directly in Unreal. The second one is it is a render node in a team render farm for Cinema 4D and Redshift. So if I'm playing around with a new tool or I'm experimenting with something and I want to render it quickly, I have a kind of a mini render farm over there, including the Puget PC with two 3090s in it. That is probably one of the faster nodes over there on the render farm. I've been meaning to do a video on the render farm, so let me know if that's interesting down below. It's kind of a mix of Macs and PCs and old machines and a couple new ones over in a closet. Let me know if that's interesting and we'll cover it in a video coming up soon. All right, let's do question number 3. How is the merger with Kitbash 3D going, and what can I expect as a customer going forward? I'll address both of those questions. First of all, if you haven't heard, Greyscalegorilla and Kitbash 3D have come together to create a new company. We have merged as of last year. So we have some really fun stuff we've been working on, and stay tuned in the next few months because we'll be announcing some stuff pretty quickly here to show you what we've been working on. So in the meantime, as a customer moving forward, if you're happy with your current membership and you're in a project and you're worried about what's happening in the future, don't worry. Everything will renew if your renewals are coming up, and you'll have access to all the tools that you've been used to as we kind of show you some of the new stuff going forward. as a merger in general, which honestly can be very scary. We've heard so many different stories in the industry and how these mergers can go, but pretty poorly for not only the companies but also for the artists using some of these tools. It's been really great. I've personally known the Kitbash team for quite a few years and always have known that we share this really similar vision to help artists create virtual worlds and be able to do it quickly, but not sacrificing the quality. So we've been aligned in a similar mission for many, many years. We've been peers and buddies behind the scenes. And now that we're all together in one place, the two brands and the two companies have come together to really create some tools and some stuff that we're excited to show you that help enable you guys to get more done. Same as what we've always done. But now we get to do it on a bigger scale and to really bring some pretty big ideas out to the forefront. I know I'm being a bit vague about the products here, and that's just because we're not ready to announce it quite yet, but stay tuned on that. We're really excited to show you guys. All right, let's jump into the next question. John asks, should I optimize my 3D scenes or get more render power instead? Great question. Something we all bump into. Should we spend all this time optimizing, or do we just spend the money and brute force it and get more machines? Well, I think, unfortunately, the answer to this one is there's always a little bit of both you really got to think about, and it depends. So without knowing your specific details, I'd say it breaks down like this. If you can get away with way less settings, let's call it render samples, right? Whatever renderer you're using. And you can do a couple tests and you can see that you can cut your render time in half just by reducing some numbers, doing a couple little experiments and seeing if your client, your peers, even you can tell the difference between a drastically different render setting. That would be incredible, right? If you could just cut your render time in half with an hour or two of playing. What an incredible way to do this. That's practically free. You got to, obviously factor in your time as an artist. But these are things you should be kind of playing with and optimizing all the time. Number two, let's talk about number two. That's not hardware before we talk about hardware. If you have not tried the denoisers that have been shipping with a lot of the latest renderers, I would recommend that you do it. They didn't impress me at first, and I think a lot of them are really, really good right now. I've been using Redshift with, I think it's Optics. I'm on a Mac and a PC, so I have to make sure that I use a denoiser that works, that doesn't require an NVIDIA card because I have render farm and all that stuff I talked about earlier. But I am really impressed by the quality of these denoisers and the algorithms. So that could save your render time, at least double, maybe even 4 or 5 times if you're rendering specific things. Things like glass and things like subsurface scattering are still not really fixed by these denoisers. But if you haven't played with it, make sure you go check it out because it's much better than it has been in the past. All right, so now let's finally talk about hardware. Should you just buy the hardware? Well, this is always a trade-off. And obviously this costs the most amount of money. But if this is what you're doing for a living, for a job, especially if you're working at a company, make sure you have the gear that you need to hit your deadline, to make changes last minute and not be in a position where you can get kind of screwed. There are things like Octane's Otoy's render network that works with, I know it works with Octane and Redshift. If you haven't tried that out, that's an incredible piece of technology. There's also traditional render farms if you're really in a pinch or you're stuck. But obviously you want to have the hardware around you to be able to make changes, to be able to experiment on the weekend and not have to have a big rendering cost. So what I would say is there's always a balance between the two. And you don't always need the brand new gear. Sometimes, my 3090s that I have from many years ago is still flying fast, okay? Especially compared to my Mac Studio sitting here. Okay, so hopefully that helps you kind of think through it, and I appreciate the question. All right, we got one more question here, and it is this. What is your most used tool in Cinema 4D? You know me, I could talk about Cinema 4D all day, so thanks for the question. I'd break this down into two categories, depending on what you're asking me. One is kind of the default Cinema 4D tools, and then I'll go over some of my favorite Greyscalegorilla tools. So obviously, MoGraph, cloners, all the fields and effectors, dynamics, Redshift has been a big game changer. Octane, I'd say those are the kind of core pieces that I've used day to day. For Greyscalegorilla tools, I rely on so many of them over the years that it'd be tough to not have. So obviously Signal, if I'm animating, it's in practically every scene if I'm animating. HDRI Link is by default in my default scene because I could just click one thumbnail and get drastically different lighting with one click using HDRI Link. I use, if you haven't checked out the scripts, we had this set of like 30 Cinema 4D scripts that we created less than a year ago. If you haven't checked those out, there are 2 of those in there that I use almost every day. There's really like 5 of them that maybe I'll do another video on, but 2 of them that I use every single day. One is called Simple Merge. Simple Merge allows me to take the things that I use all the time, little lighting rigs or little even models or my favorite psych, and be able to click 2 buttons and have it instantly show up in my scene exactly the way that I want it. So I use Simple Merge all the time. It's customizable for me, which means it's also customizable for you. So if you haven't checked that out, hard to show you without showing you my screen, maybe in a future video if you want, but Simple Merge is absolutely something I use every day. And then the other one of those scripts that I use every day is called Iterate and Render. This one saves my current scene file, and it also puts it in the team render queue and allows me to stack my render farm renders very quickly. So if I have a little tweak, I want to see a slightly different animation or just put a different texture on my scene and see what that looks like. With one click, Iterate and Render, it saves it as a new scene file and iterates the number. And then it also puts it in the queue and renders it right away because Team Render is just waiting for those frames. So I'm realizing both of those are probably more visual than just talking to you guys. So let me know down below if you want a full length video on either of those. And let me know what your favorite tool is as well. Not just Cinema 4D, but any app that you're using. Let me know what you're really digging, because isn't 3D fun? I want to know what you guys are playing with. Anyway, let me know your questions down below. If you have a question for a future episode, I'd love to hear from you. Wherever you're watching this, throw it in the comments. I will read each of them personally, and we will select from those for the next episode of the Q&A. Thank you all for watching and being members and following us here. I appreciate each and every one of you, and I will see you in another video really soon. Bye, everyone.